there's always more. I want it all, excluding you, losing control.
Welcome back, guys. We missed you. I missed you.
I've not left yet, so I don't miss anyone.
I understand we actually ran out of time during the interview. Sorry about that, guys. We're just doing this based off the time on the Korean commercial break. So, also, interestingly enough, I was explaining to me after this, apparently Tester has officially changed his ID to SSKS.
It's a terrible ID. Someone has to tell him.
I know. So that's why. So he's actually now officially SSKS. He's no longer going to be known as Tester. He apparently doesn't like that ID anymore. So that explains the confusion because I had people talking in my ear through a lot of that game, and now I understand why. So, anyways, going on to the next game we have, tell us a little bit about this upcoming match.
All right, well, we have HopeTorture, but that's actually a Smurf ID that this guy made so that, people won't just randomly cheese himself on the ladders. It's Into the Rainbow, super famous, super old school Protoss user from StarCraft 1.
Yes.
The Lord of the Reaver, the Reaver Dancer, Reaver of the Rings.
Unbelievable harassment.
Is awesome multitasker.
At this point in time, I'm betting he might be the one that will win the entire tournament. I just got a hunch. I mean, I've seen him play StarCraft 1 a lot. He's very impressive, and he's doing a fantastic job so far in StarCraft 2. We didn't even know that he signed up for the tournament until the day we got down here.
Yeah.
Because we looked at the name list. We
said,
HopeTorture. That's it.
You can't change your ID yet in StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are actually stuck with Smurf IDs, clan tags that they're no longer in, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an uncomfortable place to be in.
It's kind of weird.
But anyways, that's HopeTorture AK Into the Rainbow. Any StarCraft 1 fans probably know a lot about this guy already.
He is easily one of the best Protosses in StarCraft 1 of all time. And now he's playing Terran.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say anything about choosing the easy race. Not going to do it.
Terran is very
Protoss
popular.
is very easy in StarCraft 2 also. Come on. No, it's
Zerg, of course, is the race that's been having the hard time here.
Yeah.
Well, we only have 2 Zergs left in the tournament right now.
One of them is about to test to see if he's still going to be called when the 2 Zergs left.
This is going to be tough for him. It's going to be really tough.
Yeah, Czech is a very good Zerg player. Very strategical, very tactics-oriented. And I like his style. It's really fun to watch. It's refreshing after watching, a macro player like Hydra or a macro/cheese player like Cool. And, well, here's Into the Rainbow, so let's talk about him for a moment here. Well, in the first round, he beat Estrella Wera, a disgusting 2-0 against this Terran player. Like, it was gross, man. Like, he just owned him. And then he played against Keeping Wera, the Protoss, and destroyed him likewise. Poor Wera team, man. He's just crushing through. What more can we really say about Into the Rainbow? He loves harassing. His favorite unit in this game is the medevac, of course, just like the shuttle with the Reaver was the favorite unit in StarCraft 1. That is this guy's style. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of multi-pronged harassment, especially against a Zerg player. Very excited for this match, Tasteless.
I think it's going to be pretty cool.
I
was actually so excited to find out that this guy is actually in the tournament because I remember that first day we were like, we're going to be casting HopeTorture, and then I look at his booth, and I'm like, I believe you said it actually first. You noticed it was like, that's Into the Rainbow.
As soon as they show him the screen, I'm like, Into the Rainbow! No, I know this guy so well from all the years of StarCraft 1. He's got such an epic story. Into the Rain, the first famous Psystorm user, he kind of adopted this guy, brought him on his wing, taught him Protoss. He then became one of the best Protoss in the world. Boxer chose him when Boxer made a pro team that turned into SKT1. Great player. But check. Here is a famous Warcraft 3 pro.
Yeah, this guy was one of the best War 3 players in Korea.
In the world.
And that's true, in the entire world. So very well known. If you're a Warcraft 3 guy, you're probably rooting for Czech. If you're a StarCraft 1 guy, you're probably rooting for our Into the Rainbow fellow here. But honestly, I think this is going to be a tough match for Czech. Zerg is just having a hard time. Obviously, Blizzard is still in the process of fixing things. They released a patch. Most of the players don't believe that it's helped Zerg enough yet. But he does at least have some of the things from that patch going for him.
Into the Rainbow is extremely solid, but a different solid from Clyde. Clyde, you look at, you're just like, okay, this guy just plays a solid, all-around, great game. Into the Rainbow, a little bit more harass-based, just a little bit. And that plays a little bit into Czech's hands. Czech isn't a macro Zerg. If you want to see a good ZVT against Clyde, you want to watch Hydra or Cool.
Yeah.
If you want to see a good ZVT against Into the Rainbow, you might want to watch check because he plays very tactically. He's going to have less bases overall, more units maybe because he's War 3 player. He mixes that style in a little bit, and that's going to help him out against any harass-based play that we see from Into the Rainbow. If Into the Rainbow wants to take this down, he should go for a more macro, solid timing push type of deal against check. So that's my take on that, Tasteless.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. You know these guys both very well. I think we're going to get the maps now on the screen over here. See, I was right. There we go. It's the Delta Quadrant first map, Scrap Station second map, third map is going to be Metalopolis.
All right, and the maps taken out from Into the Rainbow, Desert Oasis, and Blistering Sands, pretty normal picks. From Check Prime, Steps of War, Coolhouse Ravine, extremely normal picks. Now, the only map here that I don't like for Check is Delta Quadrant. Hard map to play in ZVT. The rush distance from natural, very small.
Yeah.
It's also a very open natural, so Hellions and Reapers, quite useful. Now, Scrap Station, a good map for Zerg versus Terran. And Metalopolis, the best map, most balanced map overall, and Zerg players do love it because it is sometimes very far apart from each other, and that's what you want as a Zerg player.
Yeah, you never, ever want to be close to your opponent as Zerg, especially, with units like Reapers or, almost any of the units early, that these other races get. It makes it very hard for the Zerg to expand, so if you can get a position that's very far apart, it's one of the reasons why Scrap Station actually isn't even terrible for Zerg versus Terran, is Zerg can actually pull something out there. The first map might be a little bit tough. Reapers are pretty strong on that map. Yeah,
Reapers are quite good. Hellions are quite good. There's a lot of things that Terran can do, with those destructible rocks in the background.
Yeah.
You can actually tech and expand at the same time if you want, if you're Terran. Just make your command center on the high ground. By the time it's done, kill those rocks. So it's actually a very hard map. A lot of Zerg players actually opt to remove it against Terran and Protoss. But, there's also these other picks like Kulos, like Steps. So I don't blame Czech for not taking this map out. Just going to be a hard game for him. If he can win this game, though, he can take the series.
I think you're right, man. I mean, the first game is probably going to be the most pivotal, as you said.
It's the hard map.
That's when you're going to get the momentum going, coming from the Zerg standpoint. But, his opponent's got a lot of experience. Actually, both these guys, so much experience in the booth. The countdown's begun, so let's get this ready. Into the Rainbow versus Czech. Over here, at the bottom right, we have
HopeTorture.
HopeTorture, also known as Into the Rainbow. Down here at the bottom left, we got the famous Warcraft 3 Pro.
Yep.
Check Prime.
Now, I just want to point out, before we get into anything strategical here, that Czech kind of looks a little bit like Tester. He's got a very stern face. But it doesn't match his personality. He's such a friendly, smiley guy every time I talk to him.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy, actually.
And one thing I would like to say, we were talking to him before his game, and Czech actually mentioned that he thinks he might be able to win this match, which is very startling to me that he seems somewhat optimistic here, as Czech normally, he calls how his match is going to go. He's very realistic about it all, and I normally trust his insight, but it's just such a hard opponent for him.
Yeah, this is a very tough match, and I was also surprised when we were talking to him backstage. I was like, wow, okay. He's feeling very confident.
Very.
Now, our Terran player, Into the Rainbow, has been training hardcore this past few days to get ready for this. In fact, he was even training all morning today.
That's true. He was definitely practicing.
He was definitely practicing.
We have word.
We have word because he beat Greg. He beat EG Hydra, and EG Hydra says, "I hope you lose today."
Zerg pride, man.
Zerg pride.
I'd love to see two Zergs in the top 8. It'd be absolutely great, especially with such different styles, such as Czech and Cool have.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Cool is kind of a cross between Hydra and Czech. Not totally macro, not totally tactics, somewhere in between there, which gives him a lot of success. It's great to have some sort of balance in there.
Yeah, some of these players are actually so polarized in their skill sets.
Yeah, very much so. Czech, he is not that great at economy management, but tactically, man, this guy can come up with some great stuff.
He was one of the early top Korean players.
Yeah.
Actually, unlike our Terran player in this case, our Terran player just kind of came out of nowhere. We didn't even know he was playing StarCraft 2.
He may have been smurfing as well, though. He really goes into Smurf IDs.
Well, that's probably why he has the ID HopeTorture here. Didn't want people to know who it was at first when he got online.
That Overlord living somehow, I think he maybe just skirted the vision of the barracks. Because realistically, that Marine could kill him quite easily. And a factory going up at the choke point of our Terran player.
Really curious to see what Into the Rainbow is going to show us, because his builds have been very, very solid.
Now, I like what Czech's doing here. He's getting the second queen. He's also getting the Roach Warren. Now, I want to see what he wants to do. If he expands down to the low ground, I'm going to be a little bit surprised. I almost feel like with Roaches, why not just, take that back expansion? You can actually kill the rocks. But
Looks like he's actually going to move the...
Maybe a sneak expansion.
This is interesting. What is Czech's plan? Perhaps he's going to go ahead and expand somewhere like here or in another main.
And it looks like we're going to land the factory down the tech lab. You going to get Blue Flame? Is that what you're going to get?
What you going to do?
Blue Flame? No?
Nope, no Blue Flame.
No Blue Flame?
Hellion on the way, though.
Maybe
and he takes another main. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of a risky play, but again, he's a very tactically, strategically adept player. Probably realizes he has to do something a little bit out there. Oh, and look at this. This is good timing on these Roaches.
Oh, the Hellion gets by.
Why are you chasing that Hellion, Czech? Go back. Damage his buildings. Scare him into making things that he doesn't want to make.
It's almost like he could hear you. Turned around for a second.
Yeah.
Now, the Hellion's going to see nothing here. He's going to go to the main. And the Queen's there to block. Now, he better hope that this hidden expansion doesn't get spotted. Meanwhile, we got more harassment over here.
This is nice harassment. You can do it until the siege tank goes out. And then just run away.
And
now, looks like the Hellion spots this expansion. Now, this is not good for Czech. He cannot be happy about this. Wow.
That is too bad for him.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard to get anything up over there. Into the Rainbow, though. Does he have practice dealing with something exactly like this, strategically? I don't know.
Well, he does the element of surprise is kind of like the key to this strategy. I mean, confusing your opponent, and now that is gone. And we do know that, of course, Into the Rainbow's favorite unit is the medevac. So this is definitely a moment where you can do medevac stuff.
And look at these two Roaches on this ramp here. This is actually awesome. He's upgrading Zergling speed, throwing Roaches on ramps to block things, to stall Hellions and such, and spreading a lot of creep. So if he can actually spread the creep between them both, maybe he can get something going for himself defense-wise.
Meanwhile, Command Center on the way. Just getting rid of these destructible debris. Roaches to peek up here. Now this is going to tell Czech that, in fact, Into the Rainbow is expanding right down here. He sees no units. There should be units here. So Czech, being the smart player that he is, does know that his opponent is going to expand. And, of course, the tank chases the Roaches away.
I just heard a medevac dropship, and it looks like it's going to be going with 4 Marines. Trying to hit that expansion up there, but Czech should have Speedlings out by now. And he is, oh, look at this. Nice harassment by this Hellion. Czech apparently did not know it was still in the base. He loses these 3 drones. That's actually very, very bad. Loses 1.
And it looks like he could lose
loses 2. Good moves with that Hellion. The 4 Marines, not sure if they're going to do that much damage.
Yeah,
really.
I'm not sure if they're going to be that good in this situation. Viking out, takes out the Overlord.
Now we do have a Spire being made for Czech. So he's going to want to try to keep his expansion alive via Muta and Speedling. A good choice, but not spreading the creep quite aggressively enough. He does have those 2 queens so fast.
Here come the Marines. Now there's just barely enough that they can actually fight this off. And he's going to try to just take out this hatchery. He's going to move back in and know there's a queen that's about to pop out. And he's going to have to leave. And the queen...
Queen's going to be able to help this out a lot, but killing these Roaches would be big. Speedlings to the rescue.
Now we can see the expansions up and running. Meanwhile, back over here and Into the Rainbow's base. He's got 2 more barracks on the way. Thor, some siege tanks, and he's going to get that second factory out. That's interesting.
Biomech, very good. If you mix in Thors nowadays with your Marine Marauder tank, it's a very good combination. It really helps against Mutas.
Here's a Baneling nest. Now, I got to say, since I played a lot of Terran, experiencing Ling Muta Baneling is very scary.
Yeah, you have to spread your tanks just right, micro your Marines, pull them back. It can be quite difficult.
Yeah, it can be very, very, very tough. So we're going to have to see if he can actually handle this.
Now, at this point, you know, already we've seen, yes, he's going to go for some mech units. He's already popped out a siege tank. That means he's going to be immobile to attack early on. Realistically, Czech should have already taken a third base. He has taken it now at this natural up here, but I feel like it should have been a little bit quicker than that. Now, 2 mutas harassing the siege tanks. If you can ever manage to kill a siege tank with your first few mutas, that really delays the push, especially with these new nerfs.
Absolutely. And again, expanding in this location, probably a little bit smarter than expanding here, since even though the Terran knows about it, at least this location is farther away. It's harder for the Terran to push it.
Absolutely correct. And here comes some more mutas. Now, there are 2 Thors out, so it's going to be hard to keep this harassment up. And there we go. Thor with Marines around it is so fearsome for mutas, because you need to use the magic box to fight the Thors, but that is horrible against Marines.
And for those viewers who don't know what the magic box is, why don't you go ahead and explain it to us?
Well, you grab your mutas, let them spread out like they are right now, and you click far enough away from them that they don't clump up. That prevents the Thor from doing splash damage, and voila, suddenly your mutas can fight Thors.
Got to watch out for those noobs, man.
Yeah.
Got to take care of our noobs that are watching.
Absolutely, man.
We got a turret on the way.
Nice little harassment here. Not taking a shot from the Thor, beautiful, but there is a Viking out as well with huge range.
You know, there's a trick you can do as Zerg where you just kind of try to engage the Terran and scare the Terran into stimming, because if you stim, you could do this in StarCraft 1, but if you do it in StarCraft 2, you could end up stimming so many Marines with MBS.
Yeah.
I mean, with a multiple unit selection, you can have as many units as you want. You could stim and actually cost all the medevacs their energy.
That's right, and medevacs cost more than medics did in StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
So that can be a huge deal. Now, a couple Evos going up. I like this style from Czech. Get his upgrades going for his Zerglings. I really like what Into the Rainbow is doing right now. He's not playing any, harassment-based play. Instead, he's actually just macroing up for one super deadly push. And that's actually the style you want to use against Czech, because he's not really a macro player. One big, well-macroed timing push can actually spell the end of him. He'd much rather play against our harass-based opponent.
That's very true. It's interesting. Our Terran player, who's pretty well known for just doing harassment stuff, is actually playing a completely different style here. Very passive.
Marines going off to kill what they can. You gonna get that? Nope. Overlord lives.
He does back up here. Command center's been landed, and this is one of the much more macro-intensive games we've seen here at the GSL. Many of the other games we've seen are actually ended quite quickly. Zerg has not gotten a 4th base yet, but might have to now that Terran's taking a 3rd.
Now we see that 2 Infestors have been added in for Czech. That's great play. This is a very Marine-heavy army, and getting 2 fungal growths off on a clump of Marines will absolutely kill them and make way for your mutas to do a ton of damage. It's just that those Infestors cost so much gas, it's hard to make mutas and banelings at the same time.
As you can see, he did force... Oh, no, he did not force the stim, excuse me. Only on a small chunk of them. Meanwhile, Terran doing a great job taking out these creep tumors here. He's going to try to bait him again with the mutas. Backs up. They both are pretty much aware of the distances they have between each other. Very close. Nice move by Rainbow here. He's just going to take out these creep tumors.
And this is a play we're going to see a lot in the future. Everyone's sure of it. You've got to aggressively take down creep tumors. You cannot let Zerg have creep all over the place. They become too mobile.
So that is some really high-level stuff. I like that a lot. Looks like we're going to have another drop here. But I think the mutas might end up spotting. He does take out an SCV, and he's going to spot the medevac.
Oh, wow. A lot of
Nice.
cool stuff going on right now. And the Marines come up, and he takes out a couple siege tanks. Nice moves from Czech. That is what I'm talking about. Tactically very sound play. Now, if we look at the production tab, Ultralisk Cavern, Neural Parasite, Overlord Speed, and Overlord Drops were all making at once. we are going to see perhaps Neural Parasite being used. We've seen him upgrade it before. I haven't seen it in use yet, though. Can be very good against Thors and tanks still.
Can't believe he got those 2 tanks back there. That's going to make this push much, much scarier.
Now, look at the patience of this tank push. Look at this. Oh, Neural Parasite!
Neural Parasite! Very nice. He's going to use it to take out these tanks, but it wears off.
Targets the Infestors.
Yeah, right, nice play there.
Yeah, unfortunately, sick range, overcoming Neural Parasite. And really, those Infestors did not do enough for their cost. I'm actually feeling a little bit scared now. This push coming up to hit check so hard. I don't think he has enough to take this out for sure. And mixing roaches in now, that's... Oh, those must be his original roaches.
Oh, and he stims, he goes for it. He's going to use this opportunity. The Zerg army is too far away. He just goes up onto the high ground over here.
This is actually a huge move. The Siege Tanks blocking Banelings from coming up and doing anything. Taking out the Evos before 2-2 finishes. And there's just nothing in this main base.
He rushes back, but he's going to get the Hive. If he gets the Hive, that's going to be a disaster. He's taking out all the tech structures.
And here the Banes and Lings come. Nice move. Check getting those around. Oh, takes out so many Marines. And into the Rainbow, forced to retreat here. Too bad no mutas around to clean up those medevacs.
The Hive barely made it through there. However, the drop is not done yet. He's going to go up here. This area looks much less defended. By the way, Ultralisk's on the way.
Wow, Czech actually doing a pretty good job so far. And a nice Marine drop. The Ultra running away, and more of the tank push comes.
He's going to clean up that drop, but that is enough time for him to get the expansion he could. Unsiege it, go into the main. Note the Ultralisk Cavern, probably one of the most pivotal tech structures right now, is in the upper left. So even if Into the Rainbow takes it out, he won't, or takes out everything down here.
Oh!
Ultras. 2 Overlords with Ultras in them. Shot down.
The Hive being taken down, and Into the Rainbow's push looks just too strong to stop. Oh, Marines very good against singular Ultras. They do not get any bonus damage against them.
And there it
check,
is, GG.
He has to GG, loses all of his tech, some of his economy, ends the game there. A nice push by Into the Rainbow.
Damn. Wow,
player.
That was actually very impressive play. He was really patient, waited for the right moment, and you could see he was edging in there, trying to get Czech to engage him. Eventually, Czech feels like, well, I got to get back to multitasking, backs up too much. Then he uses that moment, he stims, he darts into the main, and that was the beginning of the fall of Czech.
Yep. A hard game there for Czech. Into the Rainbow really knowing what style to use against our Zerg boy.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for Czech to win after that. I mean,
after a loss like that. That was a long game. They were both playing pretty well, but there was just like this maybe 15-second window of time, and he utilized it.
Yeah. It's a pretty difficult place for Czech. Not really enough Banelings, not enough mutas. The thing is, he made the Infestors. He also got Drop, Overlord Speed, and Neural Parasite.
Yeah.
That's using up so much gas, he doesn't have as much mutas. One of the great things against a build like what Into the Rainbow did is, if you can get those Marines, suddenly your mutas are extremely useful. Also, you can keep on counterattacking the main base, harassing all over the place. That's kind of what you need to do. He was trying to do too much at once with his gas.
I think so, yeah.
And that really bit him in the butt.
Yeah. And, it looks like a lot of these players are, at least the Zerg technique that we've seen so far, is to just stay alive until you can get Ultras. You don't really do much with the mid-game tech. You get, for instance, just some Mutas, Lings, Banelings, and then you just try to keep the Terran at home until you can crank out a few Ultralisks, because Ultralisks are so good.
They are great.
But the timing attack there was right before the Ultralisks hatched. Had he had all those Ultralisks and ran to the Terran, it might have been a different story.
Could have been, especially if you catch him unsieging or something like that. That's when the Ultras really, truly shine. But, such was not in the cards for Czech. Very nice 3-base timing push there by Into the Rainbow.
And it looks like we're going to get this game started, so let's get ready for game number 2 with Into the Rainbow against Czech.